Hello, this is George Harker. Join me as I go off to Kalaupapa National Historical Park to document the unique pup rearing techniques of the Hawaiian Monk Seal. This video is the combined original video from the 9-part series documenting the first 50 days in the life of the Hawaiian Monk Seal. Extraneous material necessary to make those videos stand alone has been removed. A number of different pups have been photographed on known days of their life since birth. The working assumption is that each pup will manifest the same or very similar behavior for any pup of that age. This concept has not been scientifically documented. Indeed, little in the rearing of a monk seal has been documented to the extent seen in this video. In my view, a comparison of the two pups in the 7 to 12 day range presented in this video seems to support the premise. You may want to disagree with my minute-to-minute interpretation of events. Nevertheless, I think you will agree the video shows a pup learning to find its own food with mother's direction from very early on. Hello, this is George Harker. Join me as I go off to Kalaupapa National Historic Park to observe monk seals. Fair use notice. The following may contain copyrighted materials made available to advance understanding. It is believed that this constitutes a fair use of any such copyrighted material as provided for in Section 107 of the U.S. copyright laws. Kalaupapa is where at least 4 of the Maui seals go over to have their pups. RQ-21 is with her pup on Iliopi'i Beach, shown here. RY-30 and RV-06 are with their pups on Papaloa Beach. This view is from the top of the trailhead, and you can actually see a mom and her newborn pup in the water. This is my first view of RY-30 and her pup. The time I took it, I didn't realize she was in it, nor that they are in the water. This view documents the birth location and also shows that mom took her pup into the water within hours after its birth. 4 hours later, and I'm on the beach, and I see mom and her pup in close proximity to the water. Note the umbilical cord on the black pup there to the left. A 70x zoom lens permits this close-up from a significant distance. This is a view of another seal in close proximity to mother and her pup. This fact is significant. The pup was born about sunrise this morning, slightly up the beach, closer to the vegetation line. Earlier in the day, the pup was introduced to the ocean and its source of food. An interesting view of mom starting to roll over on her pup. You can see the flippers up there as the pup is distressed. Apparently manages to get out of the way. These views are 10 to 15 minutes later, but show the mom is still in the same position with the pup, adjacent to the water. No apparent activity. A different view angle. A view of the pup snoozing after lunch. This view is approximately 2 hours later, about 4 in the afternoon of the first day, and mom and pup are just sacked out, no sign of any activity. It's about 9 o'clock on day 2, and mom and pup are in the same positions where they probably spent the night. No question, pup is hooked up and nursing and having breakfast. A couple hours later, Mom and Pop are observed on the beach. Drag marks suggest the pup has had its foraging instructions for the day. Nearly 6 hours later, and Mom and Pop appear to be on the same relative spot on the beach as they were in the previous clip. Drag marks on the side of Mom suggest the pup has worked down looking for milk. It's about 8 o'clock on the third day, and Mom and Pop are in the water and interacting with an Hawaiian family. Remember, according to Noah, Mom stays on the beach and nurses for 30 days and does not go in the water during that time. I observed Mother give the pup instruction for some time. It is about 3.5 hours later, and Mom is still in the water. And the pup's around here somewhere, I think on the other side. There she is. It appears to me the pup is implementing its mother's instruction on foraging. Note what the pup is doing. First it's in its mother's face, then it looks to be poking around in the sand adjacent to the mother. Look where the pup is, down at the other end, checking around in the sand, still looking. The pup is poking around in the very environment where it will find food to sustain itself for the rest of its life. It's 4 hours later than the previous clip, and it looks like Mom with pup is returning to the water. Mom and Pup have stalled on the water's edge and appeared to be taking a nap. It is about an hour since the previous clip. It's late afternoon, and Mom and Pup clearly are hauled out and dried off on the beach. Mom and Pup appear to be in snooze mode, and they're not working on food collection at this time. It's a little after 7 in the morning, and I'm walking down the beach looking for seals, and lo and behold, I see a couple. It's RV06 and her 30-day-old pup in the foreground. They are probably in the positions where they overnighted. Looks like Mom's still sleeping in. Pup's been up for a while. But the interesting thing is what's over behind Mom on the right. Up above her, you can see RY30 and the pup heading into the water. Here's a close-up view. The previous day, the pup was in the shallow and didn't venture very far into the water. Looks like today is going to be different. Mom continues to move along, and it looks like one bewildered pup is trying to stay with her. Doing a pretty good job. Uh-oh, something happened. The pup bolted, headed toward shore. It's come back, circling around in front of its mom. If I was there, I would think the pup's saying, I don't want any more of this. Mom doesn't press it, and she heads back toward shore with the pup in tow. Meanwhile, RV06 and her pup appear to be heading down toward the ocean. Doesn't take long, and Mom and pup head into the surf. Meanwhile, RY30 seems to be comforting her pup. There's not going to be any deep water swimming this morning. Maybe later today, or maybe the next day, but not now. Look at this pup. Look how at home it is in the water. Laying there next to its mom. Occasionally flipping over and looking into the water, see what's there in the sand. Here we see the pup circumnavigating Mom, checking out the substrate as it goes around, implementing Mom's directions for finding food. An hour later, and Mom and pup are still in the water, same place we saw them earlier. Note what the pup is doing. It's not snoozing like its mother. It's actively looking around for things. It's obvious if a pup's going to survive, it has to find its own solid food in the ocean where it abides. Imagine how this pup would be faring if it was up on the beach searching for solid food in the sand. The pup is happy. It doesn't have to depend on finding solid food. It can always turn to Mom and get a little drink and be happy. 2 hours later, about 10:30, Mom and Pop are up on the beach having a snooze. It's quite touching to see how Mom keeps track of the little one by placing her flipper on the pup. It's 5 hours later than the previous clip, and Mom and Pup are still snoozing, approximately the same position on the side of the ocean. Apparently Mom has had enough beach time and has decided to return to the ocean with Pup in tow. Perhaps Mom's not going back in the ocean and just needs to stick her nose in it. In any event, it's the last I'll see her today. Early morning on the 5th day, we find Mom and Pup very close to where they spent the night. A half hour later, and it looks like Mom is starting to stir. It's 7 o'clock in the morning on the 5th day, and Mom's on a mission. She's heading toward the water. It's 7 in the morning, and Mom heads to the water with Pup in tow, just like the previous day. Mom appears to be offering breakfast. We will see. Offering breakfast is how Mom induces a pup to come into the water and learn to swim. It is a very useful technique, and I've seen Mom use it many, many times in the preparation of this series. Mother heads into deeper water, and the swimming lesson continues. Pup has had enough and bolts and heads for shore. Pup changes its mind and begins looking for its mom. Pup finds mom and reunites. Pup reconnects with mom, and mom heads for shore. It's only 10 minutes since this clip began, but in that 10 minutes, a lot has happened. Two hours later than their swimming lesson, Mom and Pop are still hanging out in the water. The pup is clearly manifesting the fundamentals of foraging, moving about mom and looking in the sand substrate for food. Keep in mind that according to NOAA scientists, this pup should be sitting up the beach, nursing from its mother on the sand. The reality is the pup is manifesting behavior learned from its mother shortly after birth. A little while later in the same sequence, and look where the pup is. It's off to the side, out in front of its mom, looking in the sand, looking for something. It looks like it's getting tired of trying this. Well, maybe not. Keeps looking around. Keeps looking. Swims off farther. Look at that. Check it out. If there is something to be found here, this pup is going to find it. Remember, this pup is 5 days old and appears to be looking for solid food. What was that reaction? Did it find something? The pup is making all the right moves that would be associated with foraging. Nothing like a little liquid refreshment to sustain oneself while foraging for solid food. Mom appears to be rolling over and getting ready to accommodate the request. But where is that silly rascal pup? Did it swim off to do some more foraging? It notices that Mom is in a nursing position and decides to scurry back over and get that drink after all. Pup communicates to Mom that he's on his way and he'll be there momentarily. And there he is, looking for some liquid refreshment. Meanwhile, RV06 and her 31-day-old pup are working on their swimming as well. Perhaps a more correct statement that these two seals are relaxing and snoozing in the water. They don't appear to be doing much swimming as far as I can tell. RY30 and pup have been in the water for a good 3 hours. Looks like Mom has decided it's time to get out and dry out or something. RV06 is having similar thoughts and is laying on the edge of the beach. This view is 3 hours later than the previous clip, and it appears that Mother has been in the water and is just coming out. RV06 and her pup are clearly hauled out and snoozing on the beach. Further down, RY30 and her pup are clambering up the beach. Another view of RV06 totally hauled out with her 31-day-old pup on the beach and snoozing. Another view of RY30 and pup taking a break on the beach. It's 5 hours later than the previous midday clip, and Mom and Pup are chilling out on the beach. Mother Seal has decided to have a sand facial and is busy applying that material to her face. Note the drag marks. You can see how Mom is hauled up on the beach from her previous position down by the water. It's early evening, and Mom and Pup are on the beach, where they'll probably spend the night. It's sunrise on day 6, and we find RY30 and her 6-day-old pup on the beach, exactly where we left them the previous evening. It's 6:30 on the morning of day 6, and our sleeping seals are starting to stir. Six-day-old pup is ready to go to the water, but Mom is not and voices her opinion. Pup gets the message and returns to be by its mother's side. It's a half hour later and Mom should be in the water, but she's had to climb over a lot of rocks because the tide is out. Two hours later than the previous video, and Mom and Pop are ensconced in the water. Check out what this pup is up to, swimming around behind Mom, over the flippers, looking around, getting off away from Mom, looking in the sandy bottom. Just 6 days old and this pup is on its way to getting it figured out. What I really find amusing is that we have paid NOAA's personnel millions of dollars over the last few years to tell us about the monk seal and what it eats. Indeed, papers have been published describing in detail that seals eat crustaceans, fish, eel, and all sorts of things that live in the tide pools. Only one problem. They fail to note that both Mom and Pop are on this diet while nursing. Check it out, we are seeing this pup manifesting classic feeding shots. Flippers up, head down. Pup is learning how to find its own food. Late afternoon, some 7 hours from the previous video, and Mom and Pop are on the beach, probably where they'll spend the night. An hour later, and Mom and Pop look like they're tucked in for the night. Sunset on the 6th day concludes our observations of monk seals in this video. This is George Harker. Please join me as I go over to Kalaupapa National Historic Park to observe monk seals growing up. On this trip to Kalaupapa, I have a unique situation. I will be observing two seals born on the same day, who are both the same age, of course, and I will watch them grow up over this 6-day period. Interestingly, the two seals are separated by 3/4 of a mile or so, and it's not as if they were side by side growing up together on the same beach. They are not. Our first pup is the 15th offspring of R006, also known as Eve. R006 and pup are located on Papaloa Beach. The pup is 7 days old on this first day of observation. RB16 is the 5th daughter of R006, born in 2007 on Molokai. Her first pup, born at 6 years of age on Iliopi'i Beach, is a male. It is mid-afternoon on the 7th day when I arrive at Kalapapa and meet up with Eve, R006, and her pup. We find Eve's pup getting ready to climb over some lava rock that's interfering with it, laying next to its mother. Finally, the pup has made it over the lava rock and is rolled over on its back and is getting ready to snooze with its mom. The pup is restless and decides to look for food. From birth, the pup responds to inner callings and its mother's guidance. Each day it works to develop its ability to find food under the watchful eyes of its mother. Watch the pup move out and about, looking in the sand substrate for succulent morsels of food. Now it returns to its mother. It touches base and goes off again to continue its efforts to find its own food. Mother is aware of the pup and rolls over to see how he is doing. Mom approves and then goes back to taking her nap. Pup returns to Mom and offers her some affection. About a mile away, we find Eve's daughter, RB16, with her 7-day-old pup. Pup is clearly nursing in the water and not up to beach, as NOAA's Pacific Island Fisheries Science Center would have us believe. Here's another view of Eve's daughter, RB16, in the water. In the background is RI-15 and her 21-day-old pup. Can you see the pup? It's off to the right of Mother, splashing around, looking for something in the sand, just like its cousin earlier. The pup has shifted around and now is on the other side of Mom. It's 7:24 in the evening, and Eve, R006, and Pup are sacked out on the beach. Up the coast, Eve's daughter, RB16, and her pup are sacked out on the beach. It's day 8, and Eve and her pup are just stirring on the beach. 6:27 in the morning. A few minutes later, we find Eve's daughter and her pup in the same configuration on their beach. Four and a half hours later, we find Eve and her pup are back in the water and taking it easy. Note the baby is blowing bubbles, working on its sleeping in the water routine. Meanwhile, up the coast, Eve's daughter and her pup are getting situated to spend the afternoon in the water. All indications are that mother is getting ready to offer the pup an opportunity to nurse. Then things change, and that opportunity disappears. The pup is left looking for something else to do, and perhaps that is the whole idea. The pup gets the idea and gets on with foraging, looking for its own solid food. Mother takes an interest in the pup, who is near her face, and shows him some fine points on food gathering. Here's another view of the pup near Mom's head, getting more instruction on food gathering. Watch closely. Did the pup just throw its head back as if munching on something? It's getting late in the afternoon, and we find Eve is observing her youngster. Later, they are resting side by side. On the other beach, Eve's daughter is resting with her pup. It's just about nightfall, and Eve's daughter, RB16, and her pup are hauled out on the beach where they will spend the night in the background. That's RI-15 and her pup in the foreground. It's 6:23 a.m. on the morning of May 19th, 2013, and Eve is being nursed by her pup. On the next beach, Eve's daughter is conversing with her son, who apparently has come back from exploring. Each day it is apparent that the pup is venturing farther away from its mother before returning. I have often noted that the pup is inclined to head toward the water, often before Mom is ready. After an hour or so, Mother takes the pup down to the ocean to continue foraging. Note how Mother, Eve's daughter, RB16, is seemingly enticing the pup to nurse. When she has the pup's attention, she rolls over and redirects that attention to what Mom is doing. In the rest of this segment, we see the pup bobbing up and down around its mother, seemingly looking at what she is doing. Note the action of Mom's flipper as she redirects the pup to her and what she is doing. Again, there is that raised flipper directing the pup to pay attention. Here she puts her head over the pup and tucks it down to the sand below. My interpretation of this behavior is Mom showing the pup how to go about finding its own food. Note that we have not seen this behavior before. In the next few days, we will see a lot of instruction in this format. Later, the pup wants to head back into shore, but Mom lets him know that the action is in the water with her, not on shore. Both moms are doing the same thing by actually showing the pup by example how to find food in the sand below. It's 6 hours later than we last saw Eve and her pup. They're now on the beach taking it easy. On the next beach, Eve's daughter, RB16, and her pup are entering the water for an afternoon of foraging. Again, we see the mom taking a very in-your-face approach to showing the pup what to do. Mother moves from the shallow water to that which is a bit deeper and continues to direct the pup to look about, stopping occasionally where she can be seen redirecting the pup to the substrate below. Here Mom's directly in front of us and we get a better view of the instruction technique. Much vocal instruction associated with this foraging lesson. Mom appears to have had enough quality time with the pup and wants to haul out and to interact with the cameraman. It's late afternoon, and Eve and her pup have hauled out on the beach and are positioned where they will probably spend the night. Up the coast, Eve's daughter and her pup have hauled out where they will probably spend the night. It's the morning of day 10, and we find Eve and her pup where we left them the night before. Just starting to get up. At the next beach, Eve's daughter and her pup are also beginning to rise and shine. I do not know what to make of this segment. A lot of interaction between Mom and Pup on just going to the water. I wonder if there's any relationship to the recently applied bleach mark number 5. Is Mom reacting to the smell and not sure if this is really her pup? I was told Noah was concerned that this pup might get interchanged with one of the other 2 pups on the beach. I was concerned the pup was going to be crushed by its mom, Fortunately, was able to get out of the way. Pup has been induced to the water and offered food, but then has its attention redirected to its mother giving a demonstration of food collection. It is clear to me that Mother Seal is giving flippers-on demonstration of food collection. You can see the bubbles as Mom demonstrates the technique of moving the sand to expose the prey. Once again, a lot of vocalization and much physical direction given to the pup. It would seem to me that part of any meaningful foraging instruction would involve showing the pup where to forage. Mom is off to a different location and more instruction. Once again, we see Mother appearing to offer lunch and then redirecting the pup to the idea of gathering it on its own. It's midday, and Eve's pup is entering and leaving the water under the watchful supervision of Mom. This is priceless. The pup is leaving the water, then turning around, and then entering the water. And then leaving the water, and then entering the water, and practicing the ins and outs of coming in and out of the surf. Just what it needs to know to be a good surfing seal. After watching her Munchkin do this in and out of the water routine for a while, Mother decides it's time to do something else. It's time to go back in the water and work on foraging again, and that's what they're going to do. Again, we see the behavior manifested earlier. Mother offers lunch, but then directing through flippers that the action is below. Again, note the deflection by flipper action directing the pup. It is mid-afternoon, and Eve's daughter is on the beach with the pup, thinking about what it wants to do for the rest of the afternoon. It's morning on day 11. It's 6:42 a.m. and we find Eve watching her pup returning from some sort of sojourn down the beach. This is another angle 20 minutes later of Mom, Eve, R006, on the beach. Mom is heading down the beach to collect her pup, who apparently has been off exploring this morning. The pup is the moving rock in the cluster of rocks in front of Mom. Watching numerous examples of pup returning to Mom, I realized that quite often the pup was returning from the water. It's morning time on day 11, and Eve's daughter and her pup are on the beach contemplating what they're going to do for the rest of the day. Note the bleach mark 5 placed on this 7-day-old monk seal. In the next 20 days or so, the pup will shed its coat and lose the bleach mark. It will be interesting to see if the alien scent causes this mother to abandon her pup. Bleach marking is a very effective way of marking monk seals for sharks. The smell of bleach can travel for miles in the ocean. It is midday, and Eve, R006, is out with the pup looking for food. Once again, we see the mom directing the pup's attention to the substrate below. The fine points of foraging are explored. Another example of Eve checking with the cameraman to be sure everything's getting recorded that she wants on camera. Midday, and Eve's daughter and her pup are hauled out on the beach taking it easy. It's late in the afternoon, and Eve and her pup have hauled out close to where they usually spend the night. At her beach, Eve's daughter is hauling out with the pup, getting ready to spend the night at her traditional spot. It's morning on day 12, and it appears that Eve still wants to sleep in a little bit, but her pup is tossing around and ready for action. It is about 8 o'clock, and Eve's daughter and pup are already out foraging. It is apparent that the pup is becoming more adept at foraging as time passes. A short time later, Mom and Pop have returned to shallow water and are working on the fine points of foraging. Mom and Pop are spending a lot more time in the water. They have been intensively working on food gathering techniques, becoming more and more proficient each day. The pup's ability to master these techniques is the key to its survival.
Meanwhile, back at East Beach, Mom prepares to spend more time with her pup in the water.
As in previous days, Mom and Pop will spend most of the morning in the water. It's midday and Eve, R006, and Pop have shifted up onto the beach to continue nursing.
At the next beach, we find a young photographer walking by a nursing seal and her pup. As is the usual case, the seals don't even react.
Another view angle of two tired monk seals having a midday nap.
It's later in the day and we find Eve looking for her pup. She has lost sight of her pup, and she calls out for it and moves down the beach looking for it. The pup is just on the other side of that rock shelf in front of her and blocked from her view. The pup materializes and looks over the rock and tries to figure out how to get back to Mom.
It's early evening and Mom, Eve, R006, and Pup settle in to spend the night at this location.
It's sunset on day 12, and this concludes our observation. Hello, this is George Harker. Join me as I go off to Kalaupapa National Historic Park to observe monk seals. Restricted access to Kalaupapa has made it an ideal place for monk seals to go and have their young. For over 15 years, Maui's monk seals have sought the solitude of Kalaupapa for birthing.
We will be focusing on RQ21 and her pup. Over 6 days of observation, RQ21 and pup were observed to overnight at 6 different haul-out locations. RQ21 is the firstborn pup of Eve, R006, born in 1997 on Molokai. Eve, R006, is the matriarchal head of a clan of about 44 monk seals born in the main Hawaiian Islands.
It's early afternoon on day 13, and I find RQ21 and her pup offshore at Iliopi'i Beach. It appeared to me that the seals saw me on shore and came over to say hi. It's often the case with these guys.
The seal cruising by is Casanova, RW32, a 6-year-old male looking for females.
It's a little after 6 p.m. and I would observe our seals at the far end of Iliopi'i Beach. The location was such that it would take me about 15 minutes to walk over there.
As I approach, Casanova, RW32, comes over to say hello to me.
My camera decides to act up, so these shots are not of the quality that I usually get, but they're very indicative of this seal's behavior, and I needed to show that. Monk seals are very adept at interspecies communication. Noah doesn't seem to understand that or even care about that. There is a physical display of greeting and then an audio signal.
Later down the beach, I find Casanova has eased up near a sleeping mom and her pup. I believe Casanova is the father of the pup, and I often find him interacting with RQ21. Mom, RQ21, becomes aware of Casanova and decides she is not in the mood and starts to take actions accordingly. Turning to face Casanova, Mom puts her pup in harm's way by placing her flippers over the sleeping pup. Under the pressure of Mom's flippers, the pup reacts violently, flips and twists, and finally manages to extricate itself. Mom advises Father that visiting hours are over for the day. A frustrated Casanova swims off into the sunset. A few moments later, Mother decides she wants to make some changes on where they are going to overnight. The plan appears to be to relocate slightly and settle in for the night. It's time for another Kalaupapa sunset, and Mom and Pup are relocating to another position to spend the night.
It's 7:11 on day 14, and we can see Mom and Pop sacked out in the position where I had left them the previous evening. On approaching, I find that Junior is a little more active. Mom, on the other hand, is content to continue snoozing. Interestingly, someone has placed a beach chair, which is in a good position for some serious seal watching.
A few minutes later, and Mom begins to stir, apparently aware that the pup is up and beginning to wander off. Pup has gone off to the water and appears to be returning to Mom. Mom decides it's time to get on with the day's foraging activity and heads to the water. Note that without any encouragement from Mom, the pup is in front of Mom in position to see firsthand how to go about gathering food. It was only a few days ago that Mom spent a lot of time directing the pup to this learning position. Mom appears to be demonstrating a technique which involves pushing her snout through the sand to expose edible sea creatures below. This is the technique used by monk seals to gather most of their food. Pup is up and down, clearly implementing what it has learned from Mom. Pup has been foraging for nearly 2 hours as I leave and head down the beach to see what other seals are doing. It's about 9 o'clock and we find Casanova, RW32, snoozing down at Papaloa Beach. 4 hours later we find Casanova, RW32, down at Eliopi Beach attempting to visit with RQ21 and Pup. RQ21 advises Casanova that visiting hours are not happening today and he should leave. Casanova takes the hint and moves off. Mom and Pup get back to foraging as they have been doing all morning.
It's early evening and we find Casanova snoozing on Papaloa Beach. It's early evening and we're looking at RQ-21 and her pup on Iliopii Beach. And they're hauled out at a position slightly farther south than before. It's a little after 6 p.m. on day 14 and we leave our seals sleeping on the beach. It's morning of day 15 and RQ-21 and her pup are hauled out on Iliopii Beach, same location we saw them the previous evening. It's about 8:30 in the morning and the 15-day-old pup is eager and ready to hit the water. Mom isn't quite as concerned. The tide is out, so the trip to the water is going to take about 45 minutes and be rather arduous in between. I've edited the trip down to just a few minutes so you can sort of get a feel for what's going down. Finally, we're just about at the end of the debris field and the open water lies just ahead. Before moving on, we catch a glimpse of seals in foraging mode. It's mid-morning, day 15, and there is Casanova, sacked out on Papaloa Beach. Note the broken tag showing W3. It's 2 o'clock on day 15, and there is Mom and Pop hauled out on the middle of Iliopii Beach. It's after 5 in the evening of day 15, and here's Casanova on Papaloa Beach. It's 5:23 on day 15, and we find Mom and Pop about midway Iliopii Beach, where we found them earlier. Looks like they're tucked in and where I would expect them to spend the night. It's about 7 in the morning of day 16, and we find our seals about the middle of Iliopii Beach hauled out. Essentially, the seals are where we left them on the evening before. It's a half hour later, and Pup has decided it's time to get back to foraging.
We will see what Mother has to say. Check this out. Mom has stopped for a rest, and the pup uses the situation as an opportunity to look for food. The pup takes advantage of every opportunity to look for food. A little while later, and Mom and Pup have made it to open water. Note where the pup is, slightly off from its mother, diving around, caught up in its own world, nonetheless checking in with Mom now and then. It's all about foraging, first in shallow water just offshore, and now in slightly deeper water. It is about an hour later than the last clip, and Mom and Pop return to shallow water and more foraging. Meanwhile, Papaloa Beach, 9/13, day 16, Casanova is sacked out. Three hours later, and Casanova is still sacked out on Papaloa Beach. If you look closely and can read upside down, you can see that it says W32. 1 o'clock in the afternoon of day 16, and Mom and Pop are foraging off Iliopi'i Beach. It's about a half hour later, and our seals have returned to near shore. It's shortly after 6 p.m. and RQ-21 and her pup are hauled out on the beach. Looks like they are snoozing, and looks like they are probably tucked in for the night. Won't be spending any more time with them this evening. We'll check them first thing in the morning. It's about 7 a.m. in the morning of day 17, and we are going to check on our seals. Always trying to see if I can get a shot of da plane, and I think I did. Meanwhile, back with the seals, we find a little nursing going on. Basically, they're getting ready to face the day. Back to the water for a morning of foraging, as usual. Note that Mom is not doing anything physical to guide the pup. No direction given by Flipper, yet the pup is exhibiting all the moves associated with foraging. "9:30 on day 17 and Casanova is snoozing on Papaloa Beach. It's about 2:30 in the afternoon and Mom and Pup look like heading toward shore and are planning to haul out. It's about 3 in the afternoon and Casanova sacked out on Papaloa Beach. A little after 6 in the evening of the day 17, and we find Mom and Pup being visited by Casanova at Iliope Beach. Another view of Mom and Pup after Casanova has left. Early sunset, April 5th, 2014. Looking and waiting for the green flash. Morning of day 18 and no data was collected at Iliope Beach or any other. It's midday on day 18 and Mom and Pup are in the water off the center of Iliope Beach. Close to shore and foraging in the surf. Expect they will haul out shortly. About a half hour later than the previous clip, and Mom leads the pair up the beach. I leave the seals nursing on the beach and attempt to catch another plane landing at Kalapapa. Another one of those great plane shots. Plane. It's 4:38 p.m. the evening of day 18, and we are looking for Mom and Pup, and there they are, out in the water off Iliope Beach. As is their custom, when they see me, they come over and say hello. They are not ready to come in and continue to forage about just offshore.
And another top lane shot.
It's 5:11 p.m. on day 18, and guess who is coming around? If you guess Casanova, you are right. There he is, tooling in. In a few seconds, he makes contact with RQ-21, and she gives him her standard response.
And he gives his standard response, and he's out of there. But stick around. He may be back. And there he is, cruising in, looking for some more action. Let's see what happens. Casanova is closer to Mom than he appears. See what I mean? Mom gives her standard response, and Casanova looks like he's out of there for real this time.
It's a short time later, and it looks like RQ-21 and her pup are getting comfortable on the beach. Mom decides she is too close to the water and moves up toward the vegetation line. Another view angle, and we find Mom snuggling with her pup, getting ready to spend the night. It's evening time on day 18, and this closes out our visit to Kalaupapa. Hello, this is George Harker. Join me as I go off to Kalaupapa National Historical Park to observe monk seals.
This is my first trip over to Kalaupapa, taken in August of 2012.
Little did I know it would become the basis for the most comprehensive look at the life history of the Hawaiian monk seal, and it would reveal the critical and fatal flaws in the methodology of the Pacific Island Fisheries Science Center.
It is mid-afternoon on day 17, and we find Lona and her pup on Iliope Beach. The first seal I would see was my old friend Lona. She had hauled out to me over in Lahaina 5 months earlier on March 2nd. It's a short time from the previous clip, and we find the pup starting to move and looks like it's getting in position for a snack. Mom becomes aware of my presence and rolls over and acknowledges me by hopping onto the shore. The presentation is just like 5 months ago in Lahaina. The only real difference is that Mom has a pup in tow. The significance of this beach location is that it is about 1/4 of a mile from where she has been overnighting with her pup. This will be my last observation of her for the day, and I have no data on where she spent the night. It's early in the morning of day 18, and I find Lona and pup just slightly offshore.
Lona, RO-17, and Pup are actively engaged in diving and looking for food. When I took this video in 2012, I had very little knowledge of the development of monk seal feeding behavior. In 2015, when I had prepared this narrative, I knew pups are taught to find solid food from day one. Just over 2 weeks old, and it is obvious the pup is becoming proficient at diving and looking for its own solid food. The previous videos in this 9-part series clearly documents mother's role in the learning process.
Later in the day, Lona and the pup are hauled out on Papaloa Beach to the south. This would be my last look at Lona and the pup for day 18. I did not collect any data that evening. It is morning of day 19, and Lona and the pup are in the same position they were when we were last seen the previous day.
Pup is enjoying a snack before it embarks on a morning of foraging with its mom.
It's later in the day, and Lona and the pup are just offshore, having a little lunch. Once again, I have not collected any data for the evening of day 19.
It's late morning of day 20, and I find Lona involved in an altercation with Casanova, a young male with a reputation, as his name implies. Casanova moves off after his romantic advances are rebuffed by Lona. After Casanova's departure, Mom and Pup return to their shallow water foraging. A little later, Mom and Pup head out for slightly deeper foraging. A bit later, Mom appears to be considering climbing out on the lava rock. In the development process, I have observed Mom instructing through example other resting spots beside the sandy beach. Here we see the mom opting for the primary resting spot for a monk seal, the water. A little while later, and the two are off for more foraging. At just over 2 weeks old, the pup is well versed in nearshore ocean foraging, as seen here. It is mid-morning, and Lona and the pup are in relatively shallow water on the ocean side of a rocky area known as the Bench. Keep in mind that the Pacific Island Fisheries Science Center would have us believe our 2 seals are sitting up on the beach nursing for 30 days and not going in the water.
A little later in the day, Lona and Pup are offshore. Looks like flippers are up and that they're foraging. About an hour later, and our intrepid foraging seals have returned to shore. Looks like they're sacked out and ready for nightfall. It's morning on day 21, and Lona and Pup are in the water, taking it easy. It's mid-morning on day 21. It's basically another view angle of Lona and Pup. Looks like with a little nursing going on, a little more activity, getting ready to move out and go about their day. And that wraps up our observations for this visit to Kalaupapa. Hello, this is George Harker. Join me as I go off to Kalaupapa National Historic Park to observe monk seals. The main seal of interest on this visit will be RI-15 and her female pup. RI-15 is the granddaughter of R006, the matriarchal head of many of the seals in the main Hawaiian Islands. Late afternoon on the day I arrive, I find RI-15 and her female pup on Iliopi Beach. It's 7:35 on the evening of day 21. It looks like our seals are hauled out for the night. It's early morning, day 22, and Mom and Pop are actively foraging just off the place where they presumably spent the night. It is all about foraging. Mom and Pop are constantly feeding. Not the best angle, but if you look close, you can see the pup opening and closing her mouth as she devours her latest ocean snack. It's about noon on day 22, and Mom is snoozing on the edge of the water. The pup would like a snack, but Mom is not cooperating, and the pup turns to the substrate nearby to find its own food. It's a little after 6 p.m. and our two seals are hauled out on the beach and taking it easy. It's early evening, about 7 o'clock, and our two seals look like they're tucked in for the night. It's nearly 7 a.m. on day 23, and our seals are sacked out on the beach. The background seal is RB16 and her 9-day-old pup. It is interesting to note that there are 6 mothers and their pups on the beaches of Kalapapa at this time. It is interesting to me that Mom is so far from the pup. She is also farther up the beach than she was last night. It suggests to me that she and pup were out fishing last night. 3 weeks old, it is about time for some night foraging for the pup. A different view angle of Mom and Pup on the beach. We're going to watch as Mom comes down the beach to have a little chat with her pup. I'm always amazed how these pups, when they're just a few weeks old, will start to manifest their own independence and do their own thing. The pup must be aware that Mom has come down the hill and turns around and goes over to have a consultation, see what's up.
I am not sure if there is consensus or Mom has decided it is a good time to get back to foraging. Another day of foraging gets underway. The typical day has become one of foraging, snoozing, and foraging. About 40 minutes later, and the pup is busy foraging while Mom appears to be taking a nap on her back. The seals are in the water just offshore and quite visible to the camera. It is clear the pup is clearing sand on the bottom and gathering food. Mom snoozes on her back while the pup continues to look for food in the sand nearby.
It's about 1 o'clock. After about 4 hours of foraging, our seals have decided to come out. It's about 6 p.m. and the seal in the foreground is not the one we've been following. Our I-15 and pup are nowhere to be seen.
My guess, Mom and pup have headed out for some evening foraging. Morning, day 24, and Mom and Pop are hauled out at the north end of Iliopi Beach.
It's day 24, and RI and her pup are not located where they usually have been the last few days. They are now situated at the north end of the beach, hauled out, snoozing. Changing beach location and spending more time in the water is what I've come to expect from maturing seals. Mom and Pop are offshore, lying on some rock.
Another view angle and the idea that the pup and Mom are still snoozing suggests to me that they may have been out the previous evening well after dark.
My notes suggest that I was unable to collect any data the evening of day 24 or the morning of day 25. I have no idea what the seals were doing. It's about midday and Mom and Pop have returned to the shore and they're still snoozing. They must have been up late last night. It's midday on day 25 and we find Mom and Pop are on the north end of the beach. It's morning of day 26 and our I-15 and their pup are snoozing on the rocks rather than on the beach. It's about 1:30 and our seals are sacked out back on the sandy beach of the shore. This is our last view of Kalapapa seals on this trip. Hello, this is George Harker. Join me as I go off to Kalapapa National Historic Park to observe monk seals. The focus of this trip will be RV06 and her female pup.
She is the daughter of RQ21, whose mother is known as Eve, R006. In other words, she is the granddaughter of matriarchal mother seal, Eve, R006.
The pup is a third, born on Kalapapa, March 23rd, 2013. It's day 27, about 2:11 in the afternoon.
I encounter Mom, RV06, trying to entice her pup into the water by offering lunch. Just as the pup approaches to make a connection, Mom shifts her position and moves off. The new instruction appears to be "follow me," and the pup complies. The next thing is that Mom is in deeper water and directing the pup to the bottom. Pup complies and is seen here diving for its lunch rather than nursing. A little while later, and the pup is closer to shore in shallow water. A great opportunity to observe the details of this foraging activity. Pup is clearing sand with water and air blasts, picking up the exposed creatures from the substrate below. Mom, RV06, is nearby and appears to be foraging as well. It's late in the afternoon, and this will be the last we see Mom and Pup today. It's 9 in the morning on day 28. RV06 and her pup are out in the water foraging as we join them. Watch closely. The pup is chewing on something. Mom calls the pup over. She leads the pup to another area that she wants her to check out. The pup immediately dives to the bottom, searching for food as per mother's instruction. Remember, according to NOAA's Pacific Island Fisheries Science Center, what you are observing never happens. NOAA has Mom and pup nursing on the beach where they have been doing that for 30 days without going in the water.
It's about 11:30 on day 28, and we find Mom RV06 and her pup hauling out and snoozing on the beach. Four and a half hours later, and Mom RV06 and her 28-day pup are still snoozing on the beach. The pup's had enough snoozing and gets motivated. Starts to haul up to its mom up the beach for a little chat. After a good 5 hours of taking it easy and relaxing on the beach, Mom and pup have entered the water and are now foraging, looking for food.
A little while later, and Mom decides it's time to haul out.
I love it when these seals put on their sand face. Whole different look, isn't it? It's mid-morning on day 29, and RV06 and her pup are already in the water looking for food. It's about an hour later on day 29, and Mom and pup have returned to shore. Looks like they may be getting ready to haul out. My notes say I was on shore looking for seals, but couldn't see any. My guess is that they were offshore out of sight, foraging for food. Late afternoon and evening, I was not collecting data, so I have no idea what the seals were doing. Early in the morning of day 30, we find Mom and Pop sacked out on shore. Note the pup already looking for something to eat. Mom looks a little startled to find herself being poked by a hungry pup looking for food. It's 8:45 a.m. in the morning, day 30, and RV06 and her pup are hauled out slightly offshore on the rocks. The morning light shows off the monk seal's makeup. Eyeliner around the eyes and little dashes of green algae on the lower body, giving the seal a distinctive look. Mom and Pup appear to be heading out to forage, but instead are on their way to shore for a light lunch. Late morning, day 30, RV06 and their pup are out there bopping around in the surf looking for food. Late afternoon on day 30, and RV06 and Pup are hauled out slightly up the beach, having a snooze. Day 30 evening, no data was collected. It's sunrise on day 31, and RV06 and Pup are nursing under a tree. Two and a half hours later, and RV06 and Pup are off in the water. Midday, and our seals are hauled out and snoozing on the beach. It's 6:15 on day 31, and our seals are curled up on the beach. Looks like they're getting ready to spend the night here. "50 minutes later, and our seals are gone. All that's left appears to be a drag mark down to the water. Panning into the darkness, I can't see them, but I can hear them. Did you hear that? First mom and then the pup. Why, those rascals, they must know I can't see them, and here they are swimming in toward shore, so I can get a very good look at them. They linger for a few minutes, and then they turn and head back out. There we have it. Actual nighttime documentation of a foraging expedition in the moonlight. It's 7:15 on day 32, and our two seals are chilling out on the beach. It's early evening on day 32. After a day of malfunctioning cameras, I am able to get a couple of still shots of the seals preparing to spend the night. Another Kalapapa sunset shot, and we will conclude our visit. Hello, this is George Harker. Join me as I go off to Kalapapa National Historic Park to observe monk seals. We'll be focusing on RQ21 and her pup. RQ21 is the firstborn pup of Eve, R006, born 1997 on Molokai. Eve, R006, is the matriarchal head of a clan of about 44 monk seals born in the main Hawaiian Islands. This video documents the progress of monk seal pups as they develop their skill in finding solid food. It's about 3 o'clock on day 34, and I encounter RQ21 and her pup on Iliopi'i Beach. Monk seals are born black, but lose their baby fur when they're about a month old. The individual black hairs fall out, leaving a new coat of dark fur. Note, the seal pup is pretty much a uniform slate gray in color. This is mother monk seal, and she sort of has a brownish tan cast to her color. I didn't collect any data on the rest of day 34. The morning of day 35 I was on the beach, but no seals were observed. The same situation occurred at midday, and no seals were observed. It's 4:28 in the afternoon of day 35, and we finally catch up with our seals on the beach. Note that whatever you can see of our pup monk seal has sort of a grayish cast to it. Some light hairs can be observed on the pup's muzzle. Monk seals are not the only ones fishing over at Kalapapa. Morning of day 36, and again no data was collected by me. It's late morning on day 36. I thought we would take a moment and look at the signs put up to protect the monk seal. It's clear you're not supposed to approach a seal. As a practical matter, it makes no sense, and people approach as close as they need to achieve their purpose. We have a clear view of the belly, and its lightning is becoming quite evident. The individual black hairs of the pup have mostly fallen out as of this video. The mottled appearance of the pup is variation in the color of the new fur that has grown in. That is correct. The new hairs have ability to change color from slate gray to white with all shades in between. It took me a while to understand what was actually happening with regard to the color shift. Sit back and enjoy as we watch these monk seals chill out while the pup undergoes its color shift. The pup is actually trying to snooze in the water and blowing bubbles out its nose. The pup rolls over on its back as if on cue. Note the color shift that's becoming evident since the last video. Note these seals are sleeping and not foraging. Their eyes are closed and they are blowing bubbles out their nose rather than mouth. Essentially, they are just floating about and not actively going after creatures in the sand below them. It's late afternoon on day 36, and our seals are on the beach, snoozing like they often do. Watch closely as we get a momentary flash of the underside. The pup's belly is in dark shadow, and it's hard to tell how much it's changed. It's morning on day 37, and our seals are nursing on the beach. It's 3:12 p.m. in the afternoon of day 37, and the seals are still reclining on the beach having lunch. A late lunch at that. It's day 38, morning. And there's no sign of any seals on the beach. There is sign of their wallow mark where they spent the night and their drag line back into the water.
The seals are nowhere in sight. I suspect they are out beyond the reef foraging.
It's midday and we observe our seals slightly off the beach in the water. Our color-changing pup is near shore. Looks like it may give us a display. Seemingly on cue, it rolls over and we zoom in, and look how white that belly has become just in the last 24 hours. Quite astounding. A response to those numerous requests to see a picture of me in my own videos. Here I am. Thank you. It's 6:39 in the evening and our seals on shore. Looks like they're taking a nap. Maybe they're going to do some later evening fishing. Another Kalapapa sunset caps off the day.
It's morning day 39 and our seals are bopping around offshore foraging, looking for food. Seeing us, they decide to come over and say hi.
A rainbow comes into view, seemingly complementing the color shift in our monk seal pup. The pup is seen here, munching on something that it's picked up off the bottom of the ocean. Mom is nearby and keeping an eye on things. Gives her a sign of approval. Pup comes over and embraces its mom. And that will conclude the video to this visit to Kalaupapa. Hello, this is George Harker. Join me as I go off to Kalaupapa National Historic Park to observe monk seals. Restricted access to Kalaupapa has made it an ideal place for monk seals to go and have their young. RQ-21 is the firstborn pup of R006, born in 1997 on Molokai. RT-22 is the fourth born of RH-44, born in Kalaupapa, May 5, 2010. RQ-21 will haul out with her pup overnight at the same location for 6 nights. The birthing location of RT-22 is noticed in this photograph. Arrive at the beaches of Kalaupapa about 3 o'clock, afternoon of day 40. RQ-21 and her 40-day-old pup are in the process of hauling out at the far end of Iliopi'i Beach. I am told by another observer that the seals have spent the morning in the water and are just now hauling out. Mom is ready to chill out, but the pup is restless and continues to squirm and wiggle. We're going to watch it for a while. It's basically 6 in the evening and we find our seals hauled out where we saw them a few hours ago. They are up the beach and close to the vegetation line, and I expect this is where they'll spend the night. It's about 8 o'clock, day 41, and our seals have got an early start and are out splashing around foraging. Monk seals learn from their mother about foraging beginning shortly after birth. They learn the basics during intensive instruction by mom through the second week. During the weeks to follow, they learn the fine points. It's about 1:30 on day 41, and I don't recognize this seal immediately that's hanging out on shore. I will come to believe that this is RT-22, an expectant female that will give birth in a couple of days. RQ-21 and her 41-day-old pup cruising offshore just in proximity to this expectant mother. Moments later, my attention is called to these two combating seals. Is one of them RT-22, an expectant female I already mentioned? Later, I will learn that there is another expectant female in the area, RY-30. Could this be sparring between two expectant females for beach space? An interesting scenario, particularly when you see what happens next. Scanning back down the beach, we find RW-32 Casanova swimming by RQ-21 and her pup. RQ-21 and her pup seem oblivious to his presence. Remember, there are two expectant females down here that Casanova might find of interest. Look closely and you may catch a glimpse of one of them. There. Scanning back down the beach to RQ-21 and her pup, we find that they've look like they're going to haul out. Meanwhile, up the beach, we see what are presumed to be the first two seals talking to one another offshore. What are they up to? They now appear to be heading in tandem down toward RQ-21 and Pup. Watch closely as they move into some sort of coordinated attack mode against RQ-21 and the Pup. It's a short time later, and our friend Casanova is approaching down the beach. Says hello. Mother Seal suggests that Casanova keep on swimming by, and he does. It's not too many minutes later, and we find that Casanova has returned and is cruising down from the north. This time he cruises right over, and nobody seems too concerned about his presence. Let's watch and see what happens. I was beginning to wonder if he was going to come over and have lunch with the Pup. Mom becomes aware of his presence, and it becomes clear that he will not be staying for lunch. Casanova gets the hint and takes off.
Note that the level of interaction between Mom and Casanova is not the same as with the other seals. Clearly there is some sort of relationship between those three seals, Casanova, RQ21, and the pup.
Another one of those plane shots. It's early evening and Mom and Pup are hauled out on the beach where they've been all afternoon. It's clear this is where they're going to spend the night. It's morning on day 42, and not surprisingly we find Mom and Pup hauled out on the beach where we left them the night before. Looks like the plane is the FedEx. It's only 10 minutes since the last video, and Mom and Pup have moved down from the beach onto the rocks and are getting ready to move into the water. The tide is out, and it will take Mom and Pup some time to traverse the rocks and get to the water. We'll watch them for a while. Look who's showing up in the foreground. It's our old buddy Casanova, dropping in to say hello. Heard any talk about monk seals being solitary animals? Like so many things that have been said about monk seals, perhaps it's not necessarily so. You've heard my theory before. I believe there's some sort of relationship between Mom and RW32 that revolves around the pup.
Casanova heads off toward open water. Casanova reaches open water to await the others.
It's about 42 minutes later, and Mom and Pop finally reach some deeper water. They encounter Casanova and continue to spend time here, searching for food. Okay, here's another one of those encounters with Casanova.
Casanova takes off, but I wonder when he will be back. I know he will be back.
Something to keep in mind is that Mom will be weaning this pup in the next few days.
It's about 2 on day 42, and Mom and Pup are hauled out on the beach.
Perhaps you've picked it up already, but there's a good rainfall going on, and you can see it in the imagery. Looks a little soft. Here it is later in the afternoon, and you can see that the rainfall is continuing. It's morning on day 43, and it's apparent that the rainfall is still continuing. It's going to be a very rainy time here in Kalaupapa these few days.
Here is another one of those plane shots. It has always been astounding to me how much plane traffic there is at Kalaupapa. The rain continues, and it appears our seals are going to hang out on the beach. It's 15 minutes later, and our seals are going to go about their daily routine, rain or no rain. They are headed toward the water. Note Casanova in the foreground, in the water, waiting for Mom and Pup. "30 minutes later, and they're back up on the beach, chilling out. It's about 4 hours later, and RQ-21 and her pup are hauled out on the beach, no longer at the extreme north end of the beach. Oh boy, another one of those playing shots. It's early evening, day 43, and our seals are hauled out on the beach, probably where they're going to spend the night. It's morning on day 44, and we find RW32 and RT22 hooked up here down at Papaloa Beach. Quite a sight, huh?
An interesting thing to keep in mind is that RT22 is going to have a baby about this time tomorrow morning.
It's morning on day 44, and we find our seals hauled out on the beach having a snooze.
It's morning, and it's RW32 Casanova giving us a little serenade.
It's later in the morning, and RQ-21 and her pup are in the water at the end of Idiope Beach.
It's a little later on day 44 morning. We find our mom and pup are sacked out in the water just offshore. It's a day before birth, and we find RT22 and her presumed mate, RW32, offshore on the rocks at Papaloa Beach. All the rainfall of the last few days has set off numerous waterfalls. Let's take a few moments and soak up the grandeur of these natural events. I am heading out in a few days, and the prospects of sharing the trail with a waterfall is rather foreboding. I am aware of more than one incident where a person has been washed off the trail. Fortunately, no one was hurt seriously. It's raining on mid-afternoon, day 44, and our featured seals are on the beach taking a snooze. It's early evening on day 44, and our featured seals are on the beach and appear to be tucked in and preparing to spend the night. It's morning on day 45, and it's not raining. How about that? It appears our featured seals, RQ-21 and her pup, are sacked out on the beach. This is a view from Ocean View of the south end of Iliope Beach. That black spot adjacent to the seal is a newborn. What a pleasant surprise. I believe the newborn was born at sunrise about an hour ago. A better camera angle and we can see the pup searching for an active nipple. I was on the scene for a few minutes, and I watched the pup work down one side and around and up the other side, but I never did see it attach.
We're going to zoom down to the other end of the beach and see what our featured family is doing at this time of the morning on this auspicious day. I don't think they're aware of the birth. I think they're just going about their daily routine. The pup looks like it's starting to rise and shine. On the other hand, it looks like Mom is still continuing to relax. It's nearly 7 hours later, and we've come back to take a look at our T22 and her pup and what they are doing. And what we find is quite significant. It's Mom and pup on the water's edge with the pup in the water. It shows that Mom has taken the pup down to the water within hours after it being born. Another interesting aspect is the presence of Casanova, RW32, hanging out in the water. Checking on our featured family, we find Mom and pup are in the water just offshore. Mom becomes aware that Casanova has slipped into the area and suggests that he leaves. Casanova decides he does not want to leave and returns for further discussion. The level of interaction is so much more intense than before that on viewing this video, I wonder if it is indeed Casanova. Finally, things return to normal and the cameraman can leave the area for other observations. It's early afternoon for new mother RT22 and her pup. They are adjacent to the water, pretty much where we found them before. And look who's just arrived on the scene. It looks like RW32 Casanova, coming down to check on the new pup. The perspective here makes it look like Casanova is much closer to Mother than he really is. My guess is he's about 30 feet away. But if you think about it, that's pretty close. For the most part, Mom doesn't appear too concerned, but then she flips a flipper and sort of indicates that she'd rather he not be there. It's 4 hours later and Mom and pup have moved up the beach to close to the vegetation, very close to where they were born, and this is where they'll probably spend the night. This is our featured family hauling up on the beach, getting pretty close to where they'll probably spend the night.
Compare and contrast the size between this pair with a pup that's 45 days old and the other pup that's 1 day old. This is a last look at the moms of Kalapapa on this particular trip. Hello, this is George Harker. Join me as I go off to Kalapapa National Historic Park to observe monk seals. It's a very special time over at Kalapapa. Lona, RO17, will be weaning her pup. Lona is rightfully proud of her pup and will present her to me during this visit. Lona was first observed at Kalapapa in 2003. This is her 8th pup at Kalapapa. A female that will be identified as LO6. It's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon of day 47, and I find Lona and her pup nursing on Papaloa Beach. Look at the size of that pup. Nearly 7 weeks old, and she's huge. It's about an hour and a half later than our previous clip, and we find RH44 72-day-old pup. The young male was weaned about a month ago and has been on its own ever since. He's going to pay a visit to Lona and her pup and will not be well received. Mother Lona becomes aware and moves against the errant pup. The pup scurries off with its tail between its flippers. Mother returns, believing that a further adjustment in the pup's location is necessary. Mother Lona makes a couple more adjustments until Junior clears the area. Lona, having disposed of the visiting 72-day-old pup, decides to come over and visit with me. Lona, RO17, often comes over when she sees me on shore at Kalapapa or Shark Pit. What would surprise me with this visit was that it would be our first conversation.
or Pup is tagging along and takes a moment to check me out. The pup then returns to what it is doing, and that is foraging for food. Head is down and Pup is blowing air and water to move sand. This is a fascinating sequence because we are so close and the water is so clear. Poor cutie. Yeah. After a brief exchange, we watch as the pup continues to search for food. Pup proceeds to demonstrate its food-gathering prowess for the benefit of the camera. Pup is actively looking for food by moving sand and water and air. By golly, the pup has got something, and you can see it chewing. An extraordinary demonstration of the pup's food-gathering ability just before weaning. Mother Lona is clearly pleased with her pup and wants to more formally introduce her to me. This decision will ultimately cost Lona her life and that of her pup. A further and complete explanation of this statement will be presented in a subsequent video. Lona decides to come ashore and more personally introduce the pup.
Beautiful.
gorgeous. Oh, okay. Yeah. It's gotten a lot bigger since a month ago.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we have to stop meeting like this. Yeah. It's all right. You gonna wean him tonight? Time for a weaning? Is that what you're telling me? Beautiful pup you have there. Lona, I like your pup. Gorgeous. I think the Noah people are going to get very upset if we keep meeting like this. Yeah, I do. It's a beautiful girl. Proud of you. Yeah. You gonna wean her today? It's time, isn't it? Yeah, you got to. Okay. Okay. Oh, I don't think you should get this close. I'm gonna go. Okay? I'll see you. I'm gonna go. Take care. Reluctantly, I have to rebuff Lono's advances to have physical contact. But I know from experience that NOAA personnel are intent on vilifying the monk seal and anyone that stands in their way.
Meanwhile, RH-44's pup is hauled out on some rocks and having a snooze. It's about 7 in the evening on day 47, and Mom and Pop are snoozing on the beach. It's morning of day 48, and RO-17 and her pup are on the beach. Looks like they're just snoozing. "1:39 in the afternoon, and Mom and Pop are just chilling out on the beach. It's later in the afternoon, and Mom is cruising, looking for her pup. They find each other, and it's time for a snack. Why not? It's about 8 o'clock in the morning, and we find our seals on day 49 out in heavy surf, bobbing up and down, looking for food. This is in such sharp contrast to yesterday, when the seals were in shallow water and spent the day nursing or snoozing. Some classic flippers up shot of monk seals looking for food. Just a half hour later, and our forging dynamic duo has come closer in toward shore and is working in the shallows looking for food. The thing to note here is that the pup is munching down various items, and Mom is nearby, just hanging on the surface or slightly below the surface, seemingly keeping an eye on things but not being involved. A good belly shot that demonstrates how you can tell a female monk seal by the location of its nipples around its navel. Here's the distance shot. You can see the pup off left of center. Mom is to the right, maybe submerged. Hard to see, but she's there. a better view of Mom just off to the right. Notice how she's just chilling out there, keeping an eye on things. Later in the afternoon of day 49, and the pup is still out actively foraging for food, as Mother sits nearby keeping an eye on things. It's later in the afternoon. Mother, quietly observing nearby, slips away, and the pup is weaned. It's morning on day 50, and the pup is alone where it has spent the night by itself. I would not characterize the pup as abandoned. I would say the pup has been weaned. Mother is nearby, and she will check in either later the day or the next day to see how the pup is doing. In the weeks to follow, the pup will feed around Kalapapa. In a month or so, it'll go off with its mom back to Maui. Mom has been preparing the pup for this day since the day it was born. Nobody raises a monk seal better than a mama monk seal. Noah should keep that in mind. Thank you. You have permission to download and distribute this video through any venue, commercial or non-commercial, under the condition that you do not alter the content in any way. Translations are fine. Special thanks, Eric K. Brown, marine ecologist, Kalapapa National Historical Park, Julie Lopez, Friends of Monk Seals, Molokai, James K. Walsh, PC, Attorney at Law, Eugene, Oregon. Until next time, peace be with you.